The sound of the diner doorbell cut through the quiet morning like a faint memory of better times. The man who walked in didn't look like someone you'd want to mess with. His leather vest carried the patches of a life lived on the edge, and his eyes, cold, weary, and deep, had seen more than they'd ever tell. He sat down at the counter, nodding at the waitress who'd been there long enough to know not to ask too many questions. He ordered black coffee, no sugar. He didn't need sweetness, not anymore. But fate, as it often does, had other plans that morning. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of one good act to change a life, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. These stories are for those who still believe the world can be healed, one heart at a time. The man's name was Jack. Once, he was the kind of biker mothers warned their kids about. But time had slowed him down, like rust on a once-roaring engine. His gang days were mostly behind him now, replaced by long, silent rides that helped him forget faces he'd failed to save. He wasn't looking for redemption anymore. He'd already decided it wasn't meant for men like him. Then the door opened again. A small boy walked in, maybe 9 or 10, wearing an oversized hoodie and a look that didn't belong on a child's face. He walked straight to the counter and took the stool 2 seats down from Jack. The waitress gave the kid a worried look, but he just stared at the menu, his lips pressed tight, as if speaking would make something worse. Jack tried to ignore him. He didn't do small talk, especially not with kids. But when the waitress asked what he wanted, the boy said quietly, "Just some toast and eggs, please." His voice trembled like a leaf caught in a storm. When the food came, he didn't touch it. He just stared at his plate, lost in thought. Jack took another sip of his coffee, but his gut twisted. He'd seen that look before, on kids hiding bruises, on women running from someone, on soldiers who'd seen too much. He tried to mind his own business. He really did. Then the boy pushed up his sleeve. The bruises were fresh, purple and angry, like cruel fingerprints burned into pale skin. Jack's heart sank. The boy didn't cry, didn't even look at him. He just stared at the counter like he'd already learned that silence was safer than asking for help. Jack froze. The coffee cup stopped halfway to his lips. For a moment, everything around him disappeared. The chatter, the clinking dishes, the smell of frying bacon. All he could see were those bruises. Memories hit him like a freight train. He remembered another kid, years ago, who came to the club for help. Jack had turned him away, thinking it wasn't his business. A week later, that boy was found on the side of the highway. Jack set his cup down slowly. He didn't finish his coffee. The waitress, bless her heart, whispered, "He's been coming here alone for 3 mornings, never talks much, eats just enough, then leaves. I think someone's hurting him." Her voice cracked on the last word. Jack stood up. The diner went quiet. The boy looked up, startled, but Jack's expression wasn't one of anger. It was something far deeper. He crouched down beside the boy's stool, his voice low, gravelly. "Kid, who did that to you?" The boy didn't answer. Instead, he blinked rapidly, as if holding back tears. Finally, he whispered, "My mom's boyfriend. He said if I told anyone, he'd make it worse." Something inside Jack snapped, but not in rage. It was more like a broken compass finding its north again. For the first time in years, he felt something burning inside him that wasn't guilt. It was purpose. He placed a few bills on the counter and told the waitress softly, "Keep the change. And if anyone asks, you didn't see us." Then he turned to the boy. "Come on, kid, you're not going back there." The boy hesitated, fear flickering across his face. "He'll find me," he said. Jack gave a faint, reassuring smile, one that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Not if I find him first." They walked out together into the cold morning light. Jack helped the boy onto his motorcycle, wrapped his own leather jacket around him, and handed him a helmet that was far too big. As the engine roared to life, the boy clung tightly to Jack's waist, his small hands trembling. They rode for miles, past the rusted signs, through empty roads lined with tall pines, until they reached an old cabin by the edge of the woods. It was quiet, safe, forgotten by most. Jack had fixed it up years ago as a place to disappear. Now it would serve as a refuge. For the first few days, the boy barely spoke. He jumped at every noise, slept little, and always kept his distance. Jack didn't push him. He cooked meals, cleaned up, and left the boy small gestures of care, a blanket, a repaired toy, a warm breakfast waiting when he woke. Slowly, the boy began to thaw. His name was Eli. He liked drawing motorcycles. He said they looked free. Jack didn't know how to talk about feelings, but one evening, as the sunset painted the sky orange, he told Eli about his own past, the bad choices, the people he hurt, the life he couldn't undo. Eli listened quietly, then said something that broke Jack's heart and healed it all at once. "You're not bad," the boy said. "You're helping me." Jack didn't reply. He just looked away, swallowing the lump in his throat. For the first time in decades, he felt like maybe he wasn't beyond saving. Weeks later, when the police finally caught up with Eli's abuser, Jack went with him to the station. He stayed by the boy's side through every question, every tear. When it was over, Eli hugged him tight, whispering, "Thank you." Jack had no family, no home, no reason to keep living the way he was. But when Eli's foster family invited him to visit sometimes, he said yes. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to. Months passed, and one morning, Jack found himself back at that same diner. He ordered coffee again. The waitress smiled and pointed at the door. There, running across the parking lot, was Eli, laughing, his bruises long gone, holding a small drawing of a motorcycle with two riders, one big, one small. Jack took the picture with shaking hands. For the first time in years, he smiled, not the forced kind, but the real one. He finally finished his coffee that day. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to support more stories that remind us there's still good in this world. Special request, in the comments, tell us, do you believe one act of kindness can truly change a life? Because sometimes it only takes one person who doesn't finish their coffee to save a soul.